Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Saturday night. I'm sorry, I'm getting my days mixed up here. 7 o'clock, Saturday night. It is Cryptids and Conspiracies. Well, today we are going to be a little short-handed as, our two of our members have other things they're doing tonight. Let me bring on the one person who is able to show up. And this
If it's no Scottish, it's crap!
Hello. Good evening, everybody. Unless, of course, it's morning, in which case I'll say good morning.
It is actually the night. So let me bring it.
Okay. I'm glad I got that right.
There we go. There we go.
Time zones, pesky time zones.
I'm serious. Weird time zones. Yeah. We're trying to get rid of those, though. Hopefully, that's one of the things that Trump's talking about getting rid of. And when he talks about it, things happen. So
I don't.
We'll see.
Yeah, apparently they happen.
They
do. Did you know that the lost city of Atlantis is lost because of Donald Trump? But you didn't know that.
Yeah. So I hear.
Yeah.
Also global warming. 9/11 somehow.
Everything is Trump's fault.
Yeah. The extinction of dinosaurs. Yeah. So he's busy man. Yeah. Been around a while, evidently. Anyway. So tonight we won't be having the vote because I don't have access to the Wookiee's channel since he is not here. We can't check over there. I don't know if he set the poll up, but I didn't bother setting the poll up in mine because nobody ever shows up to my chat. They all show up at his. So,
it's not.
Hopefully, we'll get some.
I don't have one, so I can't set one up.
Seriously. Yeah. Anyway, you're kind of like just happy to be on other people's streams, and that's perfectly all right.
I just show up for these things. You know how it is.
Yeah. Anyway, so we will soldier on. I do have to say one thing. I had this conversation with Wookie earlier, and because of my current awful job situation, and because of the stress that I've been under financially, I have been way too nasty lately on streams and stuff with people. And he said he didn't notice, and you're going to say you didn't notice, but I did. And so to anybody that's been offended, B Dog in particular was very ticked off.
There was that thing last time. Yeah.
And I try to, when somebody gives me that kind of feedback, especially with that much vehemence. I mean, he was really going in on me. I tend to try to like. Yeah. Oh well, we
have someone in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Who is this person in the chat?
Mm-hmm. Wookie. Oh, okay. No, didn't set up poll. Okay, well, thank you, Wookie.
Sounds familiar.
Evidently going to be lurking in our chat tonight, so no big deal.
If you've got time to be in the chat, you've got time to be here.
Evidently not.
The hell.
Whatever. Maybe his wife let him up for 2 minutes to actually, interact with humans. I don't know.
That might be how it goes. I don't know.
I don't know how things go. I don't know. But anyway, as a single man, I don't understand how that particular kind of relationship dynamics are, with that. Me, it looks henpecked, but maybe it's just how marriages are. I don't know. But anyway, Mrs. Wookie seems to be a very delightful lady. So
he's
I doubt that's the issue.
He's icing his hip.
Icing his hip. Oh, yes. Okay.
That'd be one hell of a hairy hip for a boogie, yeah.
icing his hip, which means he can't be on. Which means he can't be on a stream. Why? I think you sit down when you're on streams, don't you? Oh, maybe he's doing jumping jacks.
Anyway,
I don't know. I know he's eating most of the time, so
that's
what it is. Yeah. All right. Anyway, all right. Meanwhile, back at the topic. This is another one. When I went to find information on this one, I believe it was your suggestion.
Yes,
you were the one that brought it up. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, it's amazing to me. Sometimes I'll go down these rabbit holes, and I'm like, I don't think I'll find anything, and then I'll like do a web search on YouTube, and it's just like, it's like, holy crap! How many people are talking about this one subject? Everybody.
I know.
Everybody.
Yeah, even recently, people are still talking about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Listen, I'm so old, so things are falling apart. Okay. Well. Okay. All right. That's why they made super glue. Anyway. Anyway. All right. So here's the subject. Atlantis. You think it's how many people are going to be paying attention to a civilization that may or may not have existed? It's like mentioned in antiquity in one place, which is Plato's dialogues. About 530 BC or something like that. BC or I think BC. Anyway,
he stated
so
that he stated that Atlantis was 9,000 years before his time.
Right.
Yeah. So
roughly,
that's a wee while ago.
Give or take. Well, the thing about it is how would he even know that? I mean, that's one of those things about these people that they talk about how old things are, or how long ago things are, and they're always like listing these massive numbers, and then you remember that basically it's only been like 2,000 years old, or 2,026 years since actually minus 33, so that would put it to about 1900 and I don't know 90 or 86 years since Christ was walking the earth, and so when you think about how much has happened since then, and then you're talking about it's 9,000 years ago, I mean,
a couple of things have happened.
After a while, it's like there's a lot can happen. A lot can happen in 1,000 years. A lot.
Yeah.
So when people start quoting me those numbers like that, I tend to like say, well, how do you know? It's like, it's an estimate.
Right.
Estimate based on what? Carbon dating.
Well, they didn't
is usually
have carbon
where they get
dating
these
back in
estimates
Plato's time, did they?
Exactly. So how did Plato know?
Yeah. Or did
but
they?
I mean, people they take it as gods, or did they? Right. So how do people even know this stuff? And there's a lot of people that basically I'm having this conversation this Thursday night talking about a biblical figure called Melchizedek. And
Melchizedek.
When you read after, but when you read after people that are talking about him, and there's all these wild, like, gesticulations and talking about, he's this, he's that, and he's like from this Mesopotamia, blah blah blah, and then when you're like, well, what are your sources? Ancient documents. Which ancient documents? They're ancient. And they're documented.
They're old.
Okay. Yeah, they're ancient. They're documented. Anyway, So evidently, I said that to say this, but Plato evidently got his information from a person he knew that visited the library at Alexandria. I'm not sure what the Egyptian name was, but before it was Alexandria. I probably should look that up, but I didn't bother. Anyway, so that library was said to be the greatest in the world, and had information from all civilizations, even the ones, and something called antediluvian. Okay,
right.
Antediluvian means before the flood, and but not the Christian flood, but not the flood mentioned in the Bible. Now, no. There was an event. There was an event that wiped a whole lot of animals and a whole lot of civilizations off the map. And this massive event that happened, but it wasn't the one mentioned in the Bible, okay? Not that
one.
No, it wasn't that one. No. We're even going to come up with a term for things that were before that event happened. We're going to call it antediluvian. But it's not the flood of the Bible, okay? The Bible's bullcrap. So, it's not that. No.
Well, allegedly.
Anyway. So, anyway. It's old conversation I've had. But so if there was an antediluvian civilization that still had like documentation of it, it would be found in the Library of Alexandria.
Okay.
And so the source that he cites saw documents in Alexandria talking about this civilization, which evidently tangled with Crete.
I believe so.
Civilization of Crete. And so evidently he saw there was so much detailed information that he was able to talk about how the city was formed, how the shape of it, features that it had, and go all the way down to the measurements.
Wow. Okay.
And so, which and the people I was reading after, the ones that were like, Atlantis doesn't exist. Okay, why? Because he's making it up as an object lesson.
Oh yes, I've heard that as well. Yeah.
So Plato was just like, he was talking about how people shouldn't be greedy and how civilizations need to treat one another. And he made up the civilization.
Yeah. But I heard on one of the videos I was watching earlier, I heard that the Atlanteans were getting greedy and prideful and started to covet more, and thus started attacking, say, the likes of Crete and stuff. And then the Greeks, particularly the Athenians, got kind of peed off and kicked the crap out of them. And then they subsequently had to go through a whole bunch of different massive disasters and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That
all brought to them by the god Poseidon, who they had a temple
allegedly,
for. Yeah. So they had like a massive temple to Poseidon, and he has evidently got cheesed at them in their behavior and wiped them off the planet. So
yeah. Because they do that, apparently.
Evidently, that happens.
Yeah.
That happens. So I watched multiple videos, like you did. I sent you the links to them. I think you watched them.
I don't think I watched those, but I watched some today and some through the week.
What, because I'm not the boss of you? Is that it? Not the boss of you?
Exactly, yes. I'm an independent contractor.
Right, okay. All right, next time I won't send you any links. Maybe you'll find them on your own. Anyway, I'm beginning to see you in a new light, I have to say. Anyway.
All
right. So anyway, so I basically my video, I usually cut them down into smaller bite size, and I usually do that, prepare for the show. But suddenly, all of my my video renderer didn't want to render anything fast enough for me to make it to the show. One of them, I was like 5 minutes in, and it was like 3%. I was like, that's not going to work. So I like tried it in a couple other videos, and try to edit it down, and it didn't work. So I had one video that was small enough to fit in totality, and so we'll watch that now.
Cool.
Hopefully, it's ran it through the system. The system said it didn't even blip, didn't even give me a copyright strike. So, but as you know,
this is
it
just
doesn't matter.
Face, because we've seen that before.
So, fingers crossed. If the screen goes dark, just wait a few minutes, and we'll be back with you. And it usually doesn't take too long, but we'll see. All right. Anyway, so enjoy this.
For nearly 12,000 years, it has lain hidden beneath the waves, a lost empire, dismissed as legend, until now. New clues have emerged from the depths, and an impossible secret is rising to the surface. Prepare yourself. We may be on the brink of discovering Atlantis. Plato first spoke of Atlantis over 2 millennia ago, describing an advanced island civilization beyond the Pillars of Hercules that vanished in a single day and night. He painted a tantalizing picture of a utopia powered by mysterious technology, with gleaming orichalcum metals and grand circular harbors. Atlantis, according to Plato, was wealthy, powerful, and ahead of its time, until divine anger brought forth earthquakes and floods that swallowed it whole. For centuries, scholars and adventurers alike have been captivated by this tale. Could such a place have really existed in our distant past, or was it merely an allegory warning of hubris? The question has launched countless expeditions and sparked fierce debate. Today, with cutting-edge science and a dash of daring, we're following a trail of clues that stretches across the globe, clues that just might lead to Atlantis. Our journey will take us from the scorching Sahara Desert to the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, from volcanic isles to the frozen ends of the earth. Each step brings us closer to uncovering one breathtaking truth. Our first stop is perhaps the most unexpected. Deep in the Sahara Desert of Mauritania lies a colossal formation so mysterious you can only truly see it from space. It's called the Richat structure, better known as the Eye of the Sahara. From above, it looks like a giant bullseye in the desert, concentric rings nearly 25 miles across, etched into the earth. Sound familiar? Plato said Atlantis' capital was built on circular islands, ring upon ring, surrounded by water. At the eye of the Sahara, we see rings of land, once perhaps encircled by water long ago. Could this be the ghost of Atlantis, left high and dry after millennia of geological upheaval? Standing on the ground there today, you're on an arid plain of sand and rock. But imagine this. Thousands of years ago, this desert might have been lush, even flooded. Some scientists believe the region was coastal, lapped by ancient seas. If true, the Eye might have been an island rising above the waves. Archeologists have combed the site for any trace of a lost Bronze Age metropolis. So far, they've found no ruins, no pottery, no statues to prove a city once stood here. Skeptics call it a natural formation, a coincidence of geology, but the sheer scale and uncanny pattern ignite the imagination. Our search now moves from desert sands to the blue waters of the Mediterranean. Here, the air itself carries whispers of Atlantis. We sail to the island of Santorini, a beautiful crescent of land that is actually the rim of a colossal volcanic crater. Around 1600 BCE, Santorini, then known as Thera, blew itself apart in one of the most violent eruptions in human history. The heart of the island sank into the sea, and gigantic tsunamis raged across the Aegean. An entire civilization, the Minoans, was shaken to its core. Is this cataclysm the real event behind Plato's story? Walking amid the ruins of Akrotiri, a Minoan city on Santorini preserved in volcanic ash, you find stunning evidence of a rich, sophisticated culture. There are 3-story houses painted with vibrant frescoes, intricate indoor plumbing systems, paved streets, hallmarks of an advanced society. When Thera exploded, this flourishing world collapsed overnight. It's easy to see echoes of Atlantis here, a proud civilization swallowed by the sea in a fiery instant. Many historians believe Plato could have been inspired by tales of this eruption, passed down over generations. But was Santorini truly Atlantis, or just one chapter in a much larger story? Far across the Atlantic, the warm, crystal-clear waters of the Bahamas hold secrets of their own. Off the coast of Bimini Island, in shallow seas as blue as the sky, lies a curious formation that has fueled decades of speculation. Massive flat stones, rectangular and unnaturally aligned, stretch out in a straight path under the waves. This is the famous Bimini Road. To the untrained eye, it looks like a sunken roadway or the remnants of an ancient dock, just the kind of thing an Atlantean port might leave behind. The discovery of the Bimini Road in 1968 sent shockwaves through explorers and mystics alike. It seemed to fulfill a prophecy made by famed psychic Edgar Cayce, who had astonishingly predicted that evidence of Atlantis would rise near Bimini in that very year. Coincidence? Believers didn't think so. Ever since, divers have scoured these waters, imagining the stones as toppled walls or avenues of a lost city. Skeptics argue the slabs are natural limestone, fractured and settled in linear patterns by Mother Nature alone. Yet as you glide over them underwater, it's hard not to feel a tingle of mystery. Schools of colorful fish weave through what could be the foundations of an impossibly old harbor. Is it a trick of geology, or are we truly drifting above the whispers of Atlantis? We now venture to the most remote and unforgiving place on Earth, Antarctica. It might seem like an unlikely destination in our hunt, but some of the boldest theories point to this frozen frontier. How could a land of ice be Atlantis? The idea hinges on a dramatic twist. What if Antarctica wasn't always covered in ice? Some researchers believe that shifting crustal plates and polar wanderings could have dragged a temperate Atlantis southward, only to entomb it under miles of ice. Incredibly, even Albert Einstein once lent his voice to this idea, writing a foreword to a scientist's theory of Earth crust displacement, an idea that could place Atlantis in Antarctica's distant past. Imagine a sprawling civilization now buried under the ice cap, perfectly preserved in a deep freeze for millennia. If Atlantis truly lies here, it would be the ultimate time capsule of an age no human has ever seen. In recent years, scientists using ground-penetrating radar have discovered intriguing anomalies under the ice, patterns that hint at ancient riverbeds, even what could be man-made structures. Could it be a city grid, or just the mind playing tricks with radar echoes? 2 miles of solid ice guard these secrets well. Just the thought sends shivers down the spine. An advanced city waiting silently beneath a desolate frozen waste, its towers turned to ice. If Atlantis is really down there, frozen in time, how much longer will it remain hidden from us? After journeying through legend and theory across continents and oceans, it may feel like Atlantis is everywhere and nowhere at once. But now, cutting-edge exploration is shattering that paradox with a singular discovery. Just months ago, a team of marine archaeologists mapping the seabed between the Azores and the Strait of Gibraltar detected something astounding on their sonar screens. At a depth of over 9,000 feet, the images revealed geometric shapes that nature doesn't create on her own. Massive rectangular outlines and long, straight lines carved into the ocean floor, forming a pattern too deliberate to be a coincidence. Excitement on the expedition vessel reached a fever pitch as an unmanned submersible dove down to capture footage. What it saw through its cameras defied belief. Giant stone blocks encrusted with age-old coral, arranged as if in the crumbling remains of walls and avenues. Among the debris, there appeared to be pillars or columns toppled and half buried in sand. One explorer described it as stumbling on the Titanic of ancient cities, immense, forlorn, and undeniably real. And there was something else. Scattered among the structures were strange, carved symbols on stone, worn by eons underwater but still discernible. Could these be fabled inscriptions of Atlantis' lost language? The team surfaced with hearts pounding. They knew the world would be skeptical. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary proof. Samples were collected, images analyzed. The preliminary results are in. The stones are of a type not normally found on the Atlantic seafloor, and their craftsmanship hints at a human touch from a time before history. We might be standing at the threshold of a discovery that could rewrite the story of human civilization. Now, a wave of anticipation is sweeping across the globe. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. From the desert eye in Africa to the ruins beneath the Atlantic, the evidence for Atlantis is mounting in dramatic fashion. Yet, just as in a classic mystery, each answer spawns new questions. Have we truly found the resting place of that fabled empire, or is this merely another clue beckoning us further into the unknown? One thing is certain, the legend of Atlantis refuses to sink into oblivion. As our journey comes to a close, we stand at the crossroads of myth and reality. We've followed ancient maps, volcanic ghosts, and even whispers under polar ice, all the way to what could be the threshold of Atlantis itself. The next steps are as crucial as they are exhilarating. Will the next dive finally reveal an Atlantean temple or the remnants of an otherworldly technology hinted at in Plato's tales? The world holds its breath. In the quest for Atlantis, every discovery, every grain of sand brushed away from a stone artifact could be the one that changes history forever. Until that moment of ultimate truth arrives, the lost city of Atlantis remains a beckoning light in our imaginations, a mystery we are seduced to solve, a legend nearly within our grasp. Stay tuned, because the greatest chapter in this epic search may be the very next one, and it could transform everything we thought we knew about our past.
Well,
Thoughts?
well,
Any thoughts?
Well, yes, I have a couple of thoughts. Yes.
Yeah.
I was just thinking as we were watching
Okay.
that the video, the concentric circles might very well represent Atlantis.
Yeah.
I'm more convinced with that. But they say that the Atlanteans had an empire. So therefore,
yeah,
it would be easy to assume that they had more than one city.
right.
So it's always entirely possible that some of these other cities and things that they're finding are other cities that they had.
Well, I have one little bit pushback for that. The system back then was the city-state system.
Okay.
Like Athens was a city-state. Sparta was a city-state. You know, and so when they went to think of like civilizations, they like Manoa was a city-state.
Oh yeah.
So when they went to think of civilizations, usually there was like one grand city that, like the Rome, was a city-state. So everything was considered like part of Rome. Right. So when you say so, that's the reason why I think it would have been one massive city.
Okay.
Myself.
Well,
looks like we got a little bit of comment here. 1 second.
Oh yeah.
About Bermuda Triangle, lots of strange things going under its surface. Okay.
Yeah. That was a theory.
Well,
I did see that. I did see that somewhere, that the Bermuda Triangle was a theory for why Atlantis is gone. Yeah, I heard that one.
Well, if Atlantis was like an advanced technology that was able to like alter the world around it, and that it suddenly sunk beneath the waves, and all the machinery was still turned on, then it would affect a certain like perimeter, and so that would explain the Bermuda Triangle. So
I don't know.
The you know, you have to understand Wookiee always goes straight to aliens, and so advanced alien technology would probably
maybe it causes
lands.
Maybe it causes the rapidly aging thing from the X-Files as well. Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe. A lot of these theories were actually kind of like fleshed out in the series called Stargate SG-1, which surprised everybody. Tell them.
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, please don't hate me, but I haven't seen that.
He's never seen Stargate SG-1.
Or Atlantis.
I was sitting there, I was like...
Or the other one.
Yeah. It was Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe. So, turn in your nerd card. Turn it in.
I've seen the film, okay?
Okay, well, all right. We'll give you a pass. Anyway, so that's pretty much, they pretty much put legs on a lot of ancient alien and ancient technology narratives. You would love the show.
Right. I'm sure I would, yeah.
So, but one of the things that they speculated was that Atlantis was actually.
It's aliens.
I told you. I told you. As soon as he brought it up, I was like, he's probably going to bring up aliens. He's probably going to bring up aliens. That's okay. That's okay. He is an alien. That's why he goes by Wookiee Fever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Must
yeah. Spent 2 minutes with him. You're like, dude, you're not from this planet. I don't know where you're from, but you're not from this planet. Anyway, we love you, Wookiee. Miss you. Anyway, so I mean, the thing that really kind of captures people's imaginations is the idea of a civilization, like an advanced civilization, and just disappearing overnight. And it's kind of a romanticism about it, you know. And that's the reason why, even though it's by one guy and a few pages in a book from 560 BC, thereabouts, we're still talking about it. And there's still like 30 or 40 like videos on it that I just looked at today, because people are just fascinated by this whole idea of an Atlantean culture, you know.
It's one of those. It's one of those one of those mysteries that's still talked about. It's just completely still talked about. Right. Totally not hinting at anything, are you?
We had this conversation. Anyway, he'll probably be hitting Amazon as soon as we get off here. Anyway, so
you never know.
Knowing him, he'll probably hit Amazon. So, anyway, well, you'll like. There's a chick for the whole show. Her name Amanda Tapper, and she's hot.
I've heard of her. Yeah, I've heard the name. Yeah.
So there you go. Yep. She was also in a show called Sanctuary.
Yeah, I mean, I know who Christopher Judge is. You know, the actor. I know who he is.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so meanwhile, back at Atlantis. Right. But we would talk about, you know, it. I guess it like can be plugged into a whole lot of things. It can be plugged into kind of the romantic angle of you know, this tragedy of a culture that once existed that no longer does. You know, like this advanced group of people, you know, that it's like lost to the world, and I guess for like scientists, they're like fascinated by the idea that they could find this place. You know, the fictional people are fascinated by the idea that this, you know, that there's technologies that we don't understand that these people might have had, and so your flights of fancy take flight, you know, and and so especially when you see how specific. Sanctuary was a great show. Yeah, yes, it was. Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
But especially when you see how specific Plato was. I mean, he was specific, man. He was like not only how the city was structured, it gave the dimensions for how the city was structured. You know, it was concentric circles that led to a centralized temple in the middle, massive temple to the god Poseidon. Right. And so you see like artists rendering of it, and it just get you know, just the whole look of it to just this like amazing.
Cool. Looks cool, doesn't it? Yeah. Looks really cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So if Plato was just making this stuff up and just pulling it out of his Grecian butt, then he had a very incredible you know, very incredible like imagination. So that's one of the also things. Hey, y'all, what's up, Eric? Good to see you, man.
All right.
But hello. That's also something that that the specificity of his description really kind of intrigues people. The fact that he could have gotten his information from the Library of Alexandria, which is also fascinates people. It's just this whole idea of these ancient cultures, man. When I went down the rabbit hole today, they were talking about this place in South America that they thought was a possibility. That and it has like these walls that they basically cut stones to fit one another with such an accuracy that you can't fit a slip of paper in between the cracks,
No.
And there's no mortar in them. It's just they fit so tightly together.
Do you think they?
As a matter of fact,
I just had this thought. Do you think they used water to cut it? Like really like a jet stream of water, maybe?
Like an ancient water jet?
Yeah.
Well, that's one possibility. And it would kind of like, take up some of the anomalies that involved because there's no tool marks that they can detect.
No, just popped in there.
So, if Atlantean technology included water jet technology, I mean,
maybe. Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows?
If Atlanta indeed existed, let me give a caveat before Time Prophet shows up. Yeah, the cat. If it existed,
we'll do the fingers.
Yeah. But I mean, that wouldn't be first culture that like got wiped off the face of the planet.
No.
The Mount Vesuvius, when that erupted, it took out a culture.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
What was the name of that city? You remember?
Pompeii. Wasn't it Pompeii?
Pompeii.
Yeah.
Took out Pompeii.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Pompeii. Yeah. And they found things in Pompeii that just blow their mind. That some advanced things that were in Pompeii. There is good evidence that humanity is deteriorating mentally. From what
we are pretty. But there's a lot of people who are thick as shit. So yeah.
Well, there you go. Most people believe that's because education was taken out of the hands of parents and out of the hands of the people and given to government institutions. Because when you read stuff from supposedly uneducated people, like in like Civil War letters, and the guy is like supposed to be a drummer boy, and he uses words that engineers don't use,
Okay.
And so it's like, how far are we deteriorated as a humanity in all these years? Because most of the stuff that we appreciate. Go ahead.
The other one thing I just was thinking of as well is we see it today how they're trying to alter history. So how much of history has been altered or erased? So we don't really know. We don't really know the depths of how much has been erased, and maybe someone out there knows exactly where Atlantis is or was, and knows the exact reasons why it's no longer there. Who knows? We don't know. Someone might.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many times has somebody made a speculation and then years later it turns out that when the government finally admits that it's a real thing,
Yeah. Exactly.
How many times has that happened recently?
Well, that's it. And especially over the last few years, there's been a few things come true that were just predicted. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, one example, the JFK files, when they finally released them, there was nothing in there that people had not figured out for themselves decades ago.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh, it was the CIA.
I mean, it was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's okay, confirmation, whatever. like the hitman. I watched like two interviews with this guy over a decade apart, and he said the exact same thing both times. And it turns out that he was telling the truth.
Yeah.
And it's just like so it's like that's been on the internet forever. I mean, this dude just basically laid it all out, exactly what happened, who did where, and who was what, and where they were, and how they got the guns, and I mean everything. Somebody else, actually, there was another video I watched that somebody talking about how they got that particular gun, and that was like a special order from this place in Louisiana and everything. But thing about it is that humanity has a way of figuring out what's really going on.
I know. Eventually we catch up. Eventually we catch on.
Yeah. We have an anti-BS meter in our brains.
Yeah.
Even though some people have basically, because of the news media, have been basically conditioned to turn their BS meter off. Eventually, the truth is going to come out.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the last 4 years, people have been saying that, Joe Biden is just perfect. I mean, he's the best he's ever been. He's sharp as a tack, and he's wandering around the stage like a Roomba, and, and then suddenly they put a book out, like it came out yesterday, with one of the anchors at CNN saying, well, he was deteriorating and we were being lied to. And it's like, who's buying that book? Everybody knew, right? Everybody knew. I mean, it's just like, dude's being led around by the Easter Bunny. He is not in his best frame of mind. Okay.
No, you just can't make this up. It's just one of those things. It's just like, you don't say.
Right. Well, one of the things when I started with this show, I started with actually one with Belmont, the cannabis and conspiracies.
Yeah.
Is that I was just like had a mild curiosity about a lot of these things. And then it's like as I went, and with the conspiracies, with the like things like this, Atlantis and things like that, and it's just the preponderance of like information that people are accruing about all of these things. You basically there's this place that in Turkey that the government won't allow anybody to explore, that is like breaks all the rules about modern archaeology, and the very few things that people have been able to smuggle out of there just like breaks the narrative about of modern archaeology, about the timeline, about where everything. And the fact is, if it was 9,000 years ago that Atlantis existed, there would be nothing but dust.
You would
by
think
the time
so.
it got to Plato.
You would
and
think so, yeah.
So they extend these timelines like incredibly long, and saying, I mean, these charts that they throw up, it's like, oh, this came back from this period and this period and this period. And they say it like Jurassic period, or whatever. And then it's like, but wait a second, what's about the dinosaur bones that were discovered in the same strata as a human skeleton? What about that? No, it was carbon dated. But wait a second, why outside of archaeology is no scientific branch using carbon dating? Because it's, quote, not accurate.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and it's like
even some of the stuff that's under the water, if it's been under the water for, I know it's made of stone and whatever, but even if that's been under the water for over 10,000 years, as they allege, I imagine there'd be a lot less to discover.
Well, it's like the whole antediluvian thing, where everybody they will give you they'll tell you all day long, all the cultures of the world have their version of a flood. Every culture in the world has a version of the flood. We wouldn't have that unless people survived the flood. Okay.
Yes. Yes. To talk about
And
it.
so, otherwise humanity would just have the memory. They wouldn't have antediluvian memory. They would just have the memory after the flood forward. By the way, how did the humanity continue past the flood? People had to survive the flood, i.e., there had to be some civilizations that survived the flood outside of Noah. Okay.
Huh.
And so the thing that really annoys me is when people are like, well, because we've declared that that the Bible is not real or that's not true, and we've declared, even though the Bible has the greatest provenance of any ancient document that exists on the planet, it's not even close.
Does the Bible,
the next closest one is
does the Bible specifically state, because I can't remember, that everything was destroyed in the flood apart from Noah?
No, it doesn't.
It's implied that if he doesn't get on the thing, he's going to die. But yeah,
and he has to get all the animals into the ark or whatever.
Well, I mean, one assumes that the sea creatures were fine.
Yeah, one assumes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but when you come up with stuff like that, it's like, this disaster happened, wiped out the civilizations, and but it's not the flood that they're talking about in the Bible, of course, but a flood, and then you got this story here, and Plato's like laying down like the exact distance the rings were from each other, and that it's a ring of structures. Then there's a moat, kind of a water structure, and then there's another ring of structure, and then there's another water thing, and it's like multiple, and then at the center is like a temple, right? Then when you look at the eye of the Sahara, it's circular, and there's impressions of where water would go. And we do know, because they found like seashells and things like that in the interior of Sahara, that it wasn't always a desert.
I was going to say that they also found salt as well. Salt, implying that could have been sea water that just dried up, and waves, rocks, and waves that look in the sand that look as if it's been battered by water, as well as the wind, obviously. Water erosion plus the wind.
Well, I mean, you got all this stuff. You got like a South American cultures. You got the, all these other places, and like the Easter Island statues and things like that. That are just like, how in the world did they come up with this, and how did they figure this out, right? And well, if you get the idea that humanity is actually getting smarter as we age, doesn't fit any other thing in nature. Okay, the longer something goes, the more genetic drift you get.
Yeah.
The less robust it gets.
Right.
That's just fact. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
and and the whole idea was evolutionary theory is bullshit, because evolutionary theory says it's progressing to, we're being perfected by evolution, right?
If you look, if you look at the amount of people who have so many different allergies now.
Yeah.
Now, is that just down to all the crap that's in the food? Maybe, or maybe
that's a good possibility.
Maybe our digestive systems have deteriorated over time. Our immune systems over time. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it's like so many diseases are making comebacks because we started slathering ourselves in antibacteria, and where we used to be, every single day we used to be like exposed to some bacteria, and that our body found a solution for, and now we're being like bombarded by because we've slathered ourselves in antibiotics, and these people are still wearing masks. People are still freaking wearing masks.
The same. It's the same with some hospitals. Some hospitals have those hospital super bugs as well. So yeah.
And it's usually something that used to be the sniffles.
I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily meaning that, but there's often talk about hospital superbugs and various other things. So yeah, we could very well be biologically degenerating as a species.
Well, like I said, educationally, we're definitely degenerating as a species. Once the government took over education, our brains began being turned to mush. Let's just face it. But when we used to educate ourselves, or when we used to educate our children, or when we used to hire tutors, or when we used to people used to learn to read on their own or whatever, you would get people who essentially, when you read their writings, they were on what would be considered a second, graduate level of college level with what they wrote. And now now it's like a graduate level writing, and usually it's from somebody that never made it to 8th grade or something like that. And and a lot of it had to do with most of the schools were parochial. It used to be religion and education used to be pretty well intertwined, and a lot of the early scientists, the ones that we still talk about, like Sir Isaac Newton, were devout Christians. And the fact that we started separating all this stuff out and saying, well, you can't be intellectual and be Christian, or you education, keep Christianity out of our education, or where does our morality? Where does the morality in education come from? It comes from the Judeo-Christian, ideal. And so when we start separating these things out, we start deteriorating as a society. It just is. It is. There's plenty of studies out there right now. But it's like the holistic approach to humanity kind of went out the window, and we stopped believing that all these things make a better person. We stopped believing in work, home, church, balance of all these things. The whole man, the physical was what fed into the mental, fed into the spiritual. The three pillars of humanity. Your mental, your physical, and your spiritual.
Right.
All those things were working together. And so the idea that there were societies in ancient world that were advanced beyond some of the technology we even have now makes a lot of sense to me. And it makes more sense to me as the older I get, the more people I encounter, But if I didn't put a poll out there right now because I didn't have access to wikis, and that's where everybody is usually.
Right.
But if I were to do our usual thing, I would say that I'm pretty much convinced that if it wasn't specifically an Atlantis, there was an ancient culture that did exist and that Plato was talking about. I do think there was something there that it was too specific, and it was the formations, the dimensions, the structures, and it one of the things I do think that that it's the Eye of Sahara was a good possibility because I tried that one of the clips I was trying to clip is a guy found an ancient map, and on this ancient Roman map, and on that ancient Roman map was a place called Atlantis. And Atlantis was located in the northeast corner of the Sahara. And one of the descriptions of Atlantis was that it had a natural, like, heated hot spring that came up in where the temple was, right?
Okay.
And in the center of the Eye of Sahara is a hot spring.
Or it could just be aliens, according to Wookiee.
Or it could just be aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. We're not going to take do the poll tonight. But I would be a confirmed if we did. What would you be?
I'm a confirmed as well, pretty much based on the Eye of Sahara. I think that's where it was. It might not have been Atlantis, but I think that's probably what it was and what it represents for all the things that we mentioned.
Yeah, I think. Right. Well, I mean, the thing is so like defined that you can see it from space.
Yes.
I mean, something definitely built that. Something definitely built that. You don't get that randomness.
No. I know that there were some theories that was like a meteor strike or something, but that was kind of that was one of those. It was just like it was ruled out. It's just a bit too iffy.
It was ruled out.
Yeah.
There's one argument that comes from the Big Bang Theory or the evolutionary theory or whatever, the beginning of the universe, is this idea that specificity can come from randomness. It's never happened ever in all of recorded history that randomness created something structured.
Right. Yes.
That's never happened in all of history and all of nature history, and yet they're trying to say that that's what happened at the beginning of creation. Right. And so it's like that whole thing about, the Big Bang Theory is like saying that if you blew up a print factory, all of the letters and all the random pages would come down and approximate all of the works of Shakespeare.
Yeah. So that's how it works.
Yes, that's the idea that something explosive can happen or something random could happen, and out of that would come specificity.
Right.
It doesn't exist anywhere in the world. So the fact that Plato had that specificity when it came to this city, this culture, and the fact that he traced it back to the guy who visited the Library of Alexandria, which had tomes in it reputedly that of antediluvian cultures.
Yeah.
And a disaster befell Atlantis, which was why it was wiped off the face of the planet. We do, and all cultures agree that there was a flood. That's why we have the word term antediluvian. And so it's just possible. To me, it just seems possible. So that's what I'll go with.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well. I mean, there's just so much we don't know.
Well, that's what Giorgio always says. Who's Giorgio?
Who?
Any idea who Giorgio is?
Yeah.
Sahara's a good candidate for Atlantis, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Who is Giorgio? Before we go, tell us who Giorgio is. Only Giorgio I know is Giorgio Moroder, who is the architect of disco. I seriously doubt that's the Giorgio you're talking about. So before we go, tell us who Giorgio is so we can figure this out.
Well, whilst we wait, is it possible? I know people were using the theory of the Earth's crust displacement. Is it possible that the flood would cause some crustal displacement? Is that possible?
Yeah, that is a very good possibility. As a matter of fact, one of the theories about surrounding the flood is that the reason why people were living longer is because there was this whole layer of atmosphere surrounding the Earth, a thick layer of like water particles, that basically protected the Earth from direct sun rays. And because after the flood, which a lot of rain happened, the flood was caused by rain happening, and it said that the things opened, the waters opened in the deep, which could be plates. But the idea is that after the rain fell, then that would have caused an increase in UV rays, which we know for a fact cause aging and cause people bodies to break down. Okay. So that's the possibility.
It's a very interesting one.
That's one theory that I've heard as to why people before the flood lived to like 900 years or something like that. And then after the flood,
my goodness, my brain's just thought. Well, they do say that Africa and the Sahara specifically was a tropical paradise. So it's always possible with the breakdown of these water particles that's caused the flood. It's fried it basically. It's fried that part.
Yeah. And we do know there's they always talk about the climate shift happening or whatever. Yeah. But and the truth is there's so much that we don't know about the ancient cultures and things like that, and a lot of that has to do with people going into things with preconceived notions. Okay, so it's Giorgio Suk from The Ancient Aliens. Okay, I had no idea who that is.
All right, Ron, go on. Hello.
I've heard of Ancient Aliens. I just never watched it.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And stick around for long tonight. Out of town this weekend. Do have a couple minutes to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it, Wrangler.
We're just about done anyway.
That's my mod. That's my mod. Anyway, so thank you for hanging out with me, Cruel. Thank you for helping me hold this down.
No problem.
I think we had a good discussion tonight.
Well, I think so. It's only fitting that I show up, considering it was my selection.
Yeah, it kind of was.
It kind of was, yeah.
I just think it's hilarious that one of Abby's selections was Who Killed Kiki Camarena.
Right.
He showed up and he almost had like nothing to comment on. And I'm like, it was your topic, dude.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. That's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. But update. Kiki, one of the supposed killers of Kiki Camarena, one of the cartel bosses that supposedly oversaw it, has been taken into U.S. custody. Ooh. And his family is over the moon happy that one of them might actually see justice. So,
excellent.
There you go. If you want an update from an earlier show, if you want to go back and watch that, somebody needs to watch that because it has almost no views. Anyway, I think it's been suppressed. I think it's been suppressed a little bit.
Maybe it is. YouTube and its malarkey again.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep. There. Anyway. All right. So thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for Cruel, and thank you for Wiki for being in the chat. And we will see you all next time, hopefully with at least Wookie. We won't have Abby for a while.
No.
He's evidently going to be busy for the
Busy
rest of this month.
bumblebee, yeah.
Busy. And any idea of anything you'd like for us to do next time? Since you're the only one here, you have something we need to look into.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we would discuss the possibility of the Bermuda Triangle and a couple of other things.
Mm-hmm.
That would be more cryptids. I'm not really. I'm kind of all out of conspiracies, to be honest. So, yeah,
you can't be out of conspiracies. Come on, now.
We've kind of covered a lot of the ones I'm familiar with, the popular ones. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, we have
maybe see.
I guess we could do that, and I guess we could do that Andrea Doria one, maybe.
Oh yeah, we were going to do that. That's or the Mary Celeste, wasn't it? Mary Celeste or the Andrea Doria.
Well, yeah, Andrea Doria, Mary Celeste, both of those are kind of very similar. Very similar. Yeah.
Andrea Doria, that's more of a is that more of a conspiracy though? Or?
Well, it's a mystery. It's like
What's
a real
mystery?
Andrea
Doria, yeah. Not much about that.
Yep, and Mary Celeste are both of them are very similar. I don't know.
I don't know much. I don't know much about the Andrea Doria other than it's an Italian ship. So that's pretty much it, really.
Hence the name. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for coming, and we will see you next time on Cryptids and Conspiracies next Saturday night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Come on.